today's tutorial is to show you how to make the Mini Valentine Gnome. So this little gnome is almost no sew. The only little bit of sewing we need to do at the end is to add these little hearts onto the hat. So we'll be working from the bottom up, and we will be crocheting on the arms and the nose and beard as we go, as well as crocheting in the hat. So for this video, I'm going to be using the Hobby Honey Bunny yarn. I have the silver and candy floss or pink as are my main colors. You only need about 25 yards of each, probably a little bit less. And then very small amounts of these other two pinks here, just for the hearts on the hat. Then we've got the anthracite or dark gray, white and beige or whatever skin color you would like to use. I also have some lollipops here just to show you what I found, and we were able to put them through the hat first and then the two arms, and then the little guy can be holding our lollipop. And then I have the yarn needle just to sew in some ends and the little hearts, and scissors, stitch markers, stuffing. We've got an H hook. That's about it. So if you're watching this video and you'd like to follow along with a written pattern, there are a couple options. One is the free version that's available on my blog. I'll link that below for you. Or you can purchase the ad-free PDF version, which is on Ravelry or Etsy, again linked below. Also, worth a note, if I'm going too fast or too slow for you, please feel free to adjust the playback speed on the video. So to do this, you go to the cog in the top right corner and just click that, and then there is a section called playback speed, so you can adjust it to your liking. Also, don't forget you're welcome to pause the video at any time to get caught up or take a break, whatever you need. And yeah, let's get started. So the first part of the gnome that we want to make is the nose and beard. Now if you're making the little girl gnome and you don't need the beard, that's okay. You still want to start with this nose. So we're going to start with our magic ring. And at any time, if they're one of these little skills, like a magic ring, invisible decrease, if you're wanting to learn at a slower pace, I do have video tutorials to help with that. So I have done the first single crochet here, but we need to do another 5 single crochets into our magic ring. So 6 single crochets total. The key to this with the fluffy yarns or chenille yarns is to make this first round very loosely so that you can still pull your yarn through. And don't be scared if you don't like the magic ring. You can just do a chain 2 to start and put all of the first round, so those 6 single crochets, into the second chain from the hook. Either method will work, especially when you're using this chenille type yarn. Okay, so that is our first round. We'll throw a stitch marker in here to the last stitch. And then for round 2, we are going to place 2 single crochets or do an increase in each of the 6 stitches around. So we're going to go from having 6 stitches up to 12. All right, moving on to round 3, we are going to single crochet in each stitch around. So we're going to start with 12 stitches and end with 12 stitches. Okay, and on to round 4. For round 4, we're going to do a decrease round. So we're going to go from having 12 stitches down to 6. So that means we need to do a single crochet decrease over each set of 2 stitches. So we'll do 6 single crochet decreases around. And I am doing an invisible decrease. And here's the last decrease here. So if you are doing your nose without a beard, you can just finish this stitch as normal and end off. If you're wanting to add the beard, we are going to change our color here on the last pull through of this decrease just before we head into round 5. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie off the beginning of this white and the end of the beige. You can end off your beige. We'll tie them off and then we're going to stick them in the nose so they're out of our way and you can see easier what's going on here. You can do this step later if you prefer. But if we stick these ends here in the nose, then you'll be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so the next 3 stitches, 3 unworked stitches, those are the stitches we are going to focus on here. So let's find them. We have 1, 2, and 3. So what we need to do before we start working the stitches is to isolate the back loops of the stitch. So each stitch has a front loop and a back loop. Let's take the needle here so you can see. So we've got a front loop and then we've got a back loop. So for the beard, we're going to work in these front loops. But first we want to put stitch markers in the back loops so that even after the front loop is worked in, we can still find these for attaching the nose onto the body later. 1. Yarn ends are getting in the way. 2. And 3. Okay, so now that we have our stitch markers in the back loops of the next 3 stitches, we are going to work in the front loop to create our beard. So to do that, we want to start in this first front loop with a slip stitch. From there, we're going to do our first piece of hair. So we're going to chain 4. And then beginning in the second chain from the hook, we are going to slip stitch in the next 3 chains. So I'm working in the back bump of the chain, but you can work in whatever part of the chain you would like to. Okay, then in the same front loop, the same stitch, we're going to do another slip stitch. And we're going to chain 5 this time. And then just as the last piece of hair, beginning in the second chain from the hook, we are going to slip stitch in the next 4 chains. All right, then in the front loop of the next stitch, we're going to begin with a slip stitch. We're going to make 2 slightly longer pieces of hair here. So we are going to chain 6. And then beginning in the second chain from the hook, we are going to slip stitch in each chain. And then in the same chain or stitch again, the same front loop, we're going to slip stitch, and then we're going to chain 6 again. And then beginning in the second chain from the hook, we are going to slip stitch in each chain. And then we're going to move into that next front loop, the next stitch, and we are going to do a slip stitch, this time we're going to chain 5, and then beginning in the second chain from the hook, we want to slip stitch in each chain. So sorry, each of the next 4 chains. And then next, we are going to slip stitch in the same stitch again. So you're going to have 2 pieces of hair coming out from each of the front loop stitches. And here we want to chain 4. And starting in the second chain from the hook, we are going to slip stitch in the next 3 stitches. So from here, once you finish those 3 stitches, then you want to slip stitch in the same stitch again to finish it off. And then you can cut your yarn and end off. And then what I do is I just tuck my end into the nose, because the nose needs to be stuffed anyways. Another thing you can do though is you can wait, and when you're crocheting on the nose and beard, there are sometimes little holes left on either side that you can sew up with these ends. So it's up to you how you want to do that. But for right now, I am going to tuck this in here. So what I want to do next here is create the arms. So to do that, we're going to just do a slip knot and chain 7. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we are going to slip stitch into the 4th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Slip stitch here. And then we're going to slip stitch into each of the next 3 chains as well. Okay, and then you want to end off. And then go ahead and make your second arm as well. So again, we're going to chain 7. fourth chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do a slip stitch. And then we are also going to slip stitch in the next 3 stitches. All right, so end that one off as well. You want to make sure you're leaving 4 to 6 inches here for your tails so that you can tie on your arms in a few minutes here. All right, next up is the body. All right, so next up, we're going to begin working on the body. To make the body, we need to start with our magic ring again, or the chain 2 if you prefer. Remember, if you're working a chain 2, then all 6 single crochets from the first round will go into the second chain from the hook. And if you're working the magic ring, keep the first round loose to make it easier to close your ring. Okay, so we're placing 6 single crochets into our magic ring. And then we'll close our ring. Go. Okay, and sorry, we should add our stitch marker. There we go. So for round 2, it's going to be an increase round. So we're going to increase from 6 stitches up to 12 stitches. So that means we need to do 2 single crochet or an increase in each stitch around. Okay, on to round 3. So for round 3, we're going to do another increase round. This time we're going to go from 12 stitches up to 18 stitches. So to do that, we're going to do a single crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets in the stitch after that, or an increase. And we'll repeat that pattern all the way around. So single crochet, and then 2 single crochets in the next. So we'll be repeating that 6 times total to get 18 stitches at the end. Okay, on to round 4. So for round 4, we are going to add our little legs. So you want to grab your leg color. For me, I'm going to use this dark gray. You don't need very much of it, just enough to make a couple bobble stitches. So the first stitch of round 4 is a single crochet. But what we want to do is on the last pull through of that single crochet, we're going to change colors over to our leg color. And then we're going to do a bobble stitch. So if you've never done a bobble stitch before, I do have a video showing it in much more detail. But I'll try and go a little bit slower here to help you. So we're going to yarn over, insert our yarn into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2. So what we're basically doing is the first part of 5 double crochets, and then we're going to connect them at the top. So let's repeat this again 4 more times. Yarn over, insert your hook into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, through 2. So before we finish up our bobble stitch, we will have 6 loops on the hook. And then you're going to take your main body color again and yarn over with that, and then pull through all 6 loops on the hook. Now what we want to do after that is we want to tighten up our stitches a bit, tighten down this stitch, and this will all help to make our bobble stitch pop out a little bit more. And then we're going to single crochet in the next stitch, and make sure that you're moving over the bobble stitch so that you can find the actual next stitch and you don't accidentally skip one. So we'll single crochet there, and then we're going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches as well. Okay, so to finish up this 5th stitch though, we need our dark gray yarn again. So I'm going to cut this, and then we're going to do our last pull through with that dark yarn. And then we'll do another bobble stitch, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, flip a loop, yarn over, through 2. Repeat that 4 more times. Okay, so now that we have 6 loops on our hook, we want to grab our body color again, then yarn over and go through all 6 loops on the hook, then tighten down the dark gray, tighten this loop here a little bit. Careful not to tighten too much because the yarn will snap, then push over your bobble to make sure that you're working in the next stitch, and do a single crochet here. Okay, again, I tightened that down after. The tighter you have the sides, the better your bobble stitch will stick out. So before we finish the rest of the round, I'm going to cut this dark gray yarn. And before I forget, I'm going to tie off the yarn inside my gnome. So the one thing you want to make sure you do is you want to tighten this, but you don't want to tighten it too much that you can't see this stitch here, because you need to work into this stitch in the next round. So again, here on this side, we'll tie up both ends that were used for this bobble stitch. Tie it tight, but not too tightly. And we can still see our stitch here. All right, so let's finish. Oh, we lost our stitch marker. It goes in here. Okay. Because we had 1 single crochet before our bobble. Okay, so then we're going to single crochet on the rest of the stitches here. So there's 10 after the bobble. We already did 1, so we have 9 more to go. And then number 9. So now that we've completed round 4, I'm going to go ahead and do rounds 5 to 8 off camera. So for those 4 rounds, I'm going to do a single crochet in each stitch around. Now don't forget, these parts here, these are stitches. So make sure you have those included. You want to make sure you have 18 stitches still at the end of round 8, and I'll meet you back. Okay, so now that I've completed round 8, I want to figure out where round 9 is going to start, and also where the arms are going to go. So everyone crochets a little bit differently. Some use yarn over, some yarn under, or some variation of that. So our stitches stack up differently depending on that. So mine stack up fairly straight. Some may be on more of an angle. Basically what we want to make sure we're doing is aligning our arms properly with our legs, and consequently lining up our nose and beard with the arms. So to do that, we're going to check to find our center stitch, which for me is right here. And then we're going to count over 4 stitches to the right and 4 stitches to the left, and that will be where you place your arms. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a stitch marker in the front of that stitch so that I can still crochet the next round and not add my arms yet. You could add your arms right now if you wanted, but I'm going to wait till after my nose is on. And then what I'm going to do over here is count 4 stitches again. 2, 3, 4. And again in the front of that stitch, I'm going to add a stitch marker. So now before you start round 9, what I want you to do is take a look here where your last stitch worked is. If it's the stitch before your stitch marker, great, don't adjust anything. If your last stitch is back here, that's okay too, but crochet 1 more stitch over here and it's not going to count for a round. It's just going to be a shift stitch, just so that we're starting our next round, round 9, above this arm. Because if we do that, then our nose and beard will line up. So for me, my next stitch is going to be the beginning of round 9. And again, if you're back here, make sure you crochet over here to up to your up to your stitch marker, sorry. And then I'm going to do here is I'm going to take out this center stitch marker because I don't really need it anymore. And I'm going to start round 9. So round 9, like I said, we're going to be attaching our beard and nose. So what we want to do is single crochet in the first 3 stitches to start. And again, we've got this other stitch marker for the arm in the front so that you can still work your stitch and not disrupt the stitch marker. Okay, so those are 3 stitches. And then these next 3 stitches, these are the ones that we are going to begin attaching our beard and nose to. So let's take out this last stitch marker. This one is the last stitch of that 4th round, so we don't need that one anymore, but we do need these 3 left in. So this stitch here, this is what we want to start with. And we're going to go from the inside to the outside of the stitch. Be a little bit tricky with the stitch marker in there, but inside to outside. And we're going to make sure that this is in front of our work so that this stitch marker and stitch is lined up with the next stitch of the body. So I hope that made sense there. I'm going to take it out so I can show you again. So what you're doing is you're taking the beard will be facing down. So like when it flips up, it'll be down. So the beard is against your body, and you're going to find your stitch marker that's furthest to the right and insert your hook into that first. And then you're going to insert your hook into the next stitch of the body, and you're going to single crochet through both those stitches. There we go. We can take this stitch marker out now if you'd like, and then on to the next stitch. So with this next stitch marker, we're going to work through this stitch, work through the next stitch of the body, and single crochet. And then we're going to do that one more time with this last stitch marker here. So it can be a little bit tricky if you're not used to crocheting pieces together, but you'll get it. So through the nose, through the body, single crochet, and we'll take out the stitch marker. Okay, so that's it for the nose in this round. For the rest of this round, you're going to work in each of the stitches around. So we've got 2 more stitches and then your stitch marker here, and then continue around the back here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, Okay, so crochet right over the stitch marker. We should still have 18 stitches all together. Go ahead and put this in my last stitch again. Okay, round 10 of the body. So for round 10 of the body, we're going to attach the top of the nose to this round. So to do that, we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So again, we're just going to leave our arms there for right now. After we finish this round, we'll add our arms in. Okay, and then what we want to do is we want to find the 3 stitches at the top of the nose that we haven't worked at all yet. So my first one is here, 2, 3, and we're not going to work through the nose and the body, we're just going to work through the nose. The reason we're doing this is then we can still stuff the nose after the fact. So you're going to work these 3 front stitches of the nose, front, top. Top's probably a better way to explain it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to skip the next 3 stitches back here. 1, 2, 3. So those are the stitches that you used to crochet the bottom of the nose and beard together. We're going to skip over those and go right back over here to the body. And single crochet in the rest of the stitches around. So there's 15 total here. Or sorry, not 15, 12. Okay, and then we'll take out our stitch marker and we can end off here. So we don't, the next step is going to be crocheting the hat onto the body, and then we'll continue with the hat. So we can end off. And then what you're going to do is in these spaces where these stitch markers are, we're going to add in our arms. So take your arm and you want to put your hook through one side of where the stitch marker is sitting and pull one of the tails in, and then you're going to go to the other side here, grab the second tail and pull it in, and then inside you're going to take the tails and just tie them off. So now if you've decided to make pigtails instead of a beard, there are also instructions in the pattern there to put them here and here on either side of the nose. So you're going to do it the same way as you're doing with these arms, but you're going to put the pigtails on either side of the nose, and you'll attach them on the inside. So let's do our second arm. Okay, and after you tie the arms off, then you can remove the stitch markers. And then tuck all the ends inside the body, and we will come back and start the hat. Okay, so next up we're going to get started with the hat. To do that, you can either chain 24 or you can start with a foundation single crochet, 24 of them. I'm going to do a chain for this. Okay, and then you want to attach in the round to form a loop. So if you were doing a foundation single crochet around, you still want to join them here, but instead of doing round 1, you can just skip that and head straight to round 2. So round 1, I'm going to single crochet in each chain around, And this time I'm working in the side of the chain. You can work in whatever part of the chain you like. Okay, so that's the end of round one. What you want to make sure you're doing is counting that you have the proper amount of stitches here before moving on to round two. And then round two, we are just going to single crochet in each stitch. Okay, so for round three of the hat, we want to do a decrease round. We want to go from having 24 stitches down to 21 stitches. So to do that, we are going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches. And then we're going to do a single crochet decrease. We want to repeat those steps 2 more times, so 3 times in total. So single crochet in the next 6 stitches. And then do a single crochet decrease. One more time. Okay, round 4 of the hat. So for round 4 of the hat, we're just going to do a single crochet in each stitch around. Okay, and then for round 5, we're going to do another decrease round. This time we're going to go from 21 stitches down to 18 stitches. So to do that, you want to single crochet in the next 5 stitches. And then do a single crochet decrease. And you'll repeat that 2 more times, so a total of 3 times. Single crochet in the next 5 stitches. And a single crochet decrease. One more time. And then we'll do a single crochet decrease. Okay, so next up, round 6 of the hat, we are going to attach our hat onto the body. So to do that, grab the body, and I usually put my seam somewhere around the back. It doesn't really matter because you can't really see it, but you're going to place the hat over top of the body. Make sure you fit that nose in there. It can be a little tricky. To get it in. But basically, all your stitches will line up with a stitch from the body, because there are 18 stitches of the hat right now and 18 stitches of the body. So what we're going to do for the next round is we are going to keep the 18 stitches, but we are going to single crochet the 2 pieces together. So you can choose any stitch to start with the body. So I've got the next stitch of the hat. I chose a stitch near the back of the body, and we're just going to single crochet them all together. So we're going to do this 18 times around, and next we're going to grab the next stitch of the hat, the next stitch of the body, and just keep working like that all the way around. It gets a little bit tricky when you're around the nose area, just because the nose sticks out so much. If you go 1 stitch at a time, you'll be all right. If you're worried that you've skipped a stitch of the body, you can just flip it up here and you can see, you'll be able to see if you've missed a stitch. The other tricky bit is here where I've ended off and I've got a slip stitch to the next stitch. So this doesn't count as a stitch for the body. I'm just going to skip over that. Okay, so now that you've completed this round 6, we're just going to take a little look around, make sure we haven't missed anything. Everything looks good. I'll put the hat back down. Now eventually you will flip up the front of the brim, but it's easier to work the hat when it's down. So for round 7 and 8 of the hat, we are just going to do a single crochet in each stitch around. So I'm going to do that off camera, and then I will come back for round 9 of the hat. Okay, so here we are back at the end of round 8 of the hat. This is the point where you can begin stuffing. Now, if you want to have the bottom weighted down a little bit, then you can add some river rocks or whatever you have to add a little bit of weight, and then add your stuffing on top of that. So I don't have any rocks here with me, but so I'm just going to stuff it. And I wouldn't stuff it too full yet because I don't like when the stuffing gets into my stitches as I'm working. And you'll have a chance in another few rounds to add some more stuffing. So what you want to make sure you're doing at this point is if you want more stuffing in the nose, this is where you would add it, because it will get harder and harder to reach the nose as the hat sort of starts to narrow. So add some in there if you want. Make sure you get right down to the bottom. And yeah, if you decide on river rocks, probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 should give lots of weight to the bottom. It'll just help him to stand up better once he's complete. But again, totally optional. Okay, so let's do round 9 here. So round 9, we're going to go from having 18 stitches down to having 15. So it's a decrease round. So to do that, we are going to single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. And then we're going to do a single crochet decrease. And we'll repeat that 2 more times. So single crochet, oops, in the next 4 stitches. And then we'll do our decrease. Oh, we've got a bit of a dip in the yarn there, so when I get to the pull through, I'll pull through further down the yarn, and then what I can do is cut this and tie it behind. That's the great thing about these stuffies, is all the knots are in behind our work. Okay. 2, 3, and 4, and then we need to do our last decrease. Okay, so round 10. For round 10, we're just going to single crochet in each of the 15 stitches around. Okay, and then on to round 11. And for round 11, we're going to do another decrease round. So we're going to go from having 15 stitches down to 12. So single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, and then a single crochet decrease. Repeat that 2 more times. And then our last decrease. Okay, and then on to round 12. So for round 12, we are going to single crochet in each of the next 12 stitches. So if you want to, after this round, you can go ahead and finish your stuffing. If you want to wait till the end of the next round, that's okay too. I think I'm going to wait and do it the next round. But if you're using a smaller yarn, that may make it a little bit difficult. Okay, and then round 13, we're going to decrease again. And this time we're going to go from 12 stitches down to 9 stitches. So to do that, we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches and then do our decrease. And we'll repeat that 2 more times. And then decrease. Okay, and then you want to add the rest of that stuffing in there. I like to use the end of my crochet hook and stuff it, the hat as full as you'd like. So what I've been doing is I've been stuffing most of the hat, and then I've been kind of leaving the top of the hat without any stuffing. But that's completely up to you. Okay. So then round 14, we're going to go from 9 stitches down to 6. So to do that, we're going to single crochet in the next stitch and then do a decrease, single crochet, decrease. We'll repeat that 2 more times, so a total of 3 times. It can get a little bit trickier to work the top of the hat here. Oh, there goes my stitch marker. It's okay, I know I'm just finished the 4th stitch. And 6. Okay. And then for round 15, our last stitch, we're going to do another decrease round. We're going to go from 6 down to 4. So we want to single crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to do a decrease. We'll do that, repeat that just twice. So just one more time. Okay, I'm going to take this stitch marker out because it's in the way. If you're having trouble working your stitches here, you want to try and go from the bottom up to get into the stitch. Okay, there we go. So we have 4 stitches at the top there. We can end off, and you want to keep about 6 inches or so that you can cinch the top together. If you want to do the long sort of tassels for the hearts to go on, you would just keep going and insert your hook here across the top. So I'm going across, so I've got 2 stitches, 1 on either side here and then 2 here. So I would just go across here to start and then do your chain out and come back the same way as we did with the beard. But I'm going to make this guy to just have the top, just the normal top on it. Okay, so there we go. We'll fix our hat so that this front part is flipped up. Okay, so you can weave in your ends so far. And then I will come back and I will show you how to make the little hearts to go on his hat. Okay, so to make a little heart, I'm going to make another one just like this. I'm going to make a slip knot. We're going to chain 3. And then working in the 3rd chain from the hook, we are going to do 2 double crochets. And then a half double crochet. And then we want to chain 2, another half double crochet. This is all in that 3rd chain from the hook. And then 2 more double crochets. And then we're going to chain 2, and we're going to place a slip stitch again in that 3rd chain from the hook from our original chain. And then we'll end off, and you want to leave, I don't know, about 6 inches or so of yarn for sewing, because this is the only little bit of sewing that you'll have to do. And if you want, you could embroider the hearts on, or you can leave them like this, whatever you prefer. I'm going to show you how to sew the first heart on. And I just sewed it right down the center of the heart. So it comes out the top. So I just found the spot that I wanted my heart here and inserted my needle. Make sure the front of the heart is facing forwards. So for me, that's the part that was facing me when I was working the round. And then I'm just going to come up here and then go down the center. And then I'll repeat that up and down the center again. Repeat that a couple times just to secure my heart. I want the sides to be able to kind of flap a little bit. So, and then once we're done this, you can use the other tail to tie off and then push them both into the hat. And then you can sew the other heart on wherever you like. You can put it like on top like I did with the original one. I put it a little bit on top, or you could put it over on this side. We'll fix the hat again here. Yeah, so you can put the heart wherever you'd like. But then also if you want, you can find a lollipop or a sucker or whatever you call them where you live. And to put this in, I put it through the hat. So just any place through the hat. Then you want to grab the arm closest. Stick it through the little hole that we made at the end of the arm. And then you can either leave it like that, or you can pull it across here to the other side and through the other arm. And there we go. There's our cute little gnome. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye for now.